Good morning. I'm Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spy, U.S.-Iran Warcast, Day 77. And I am joined by my co-host today, Wajeeh the Gay Lion from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Saudi Arabian geopolitical Gulf states expert extraordinaire. And it's a cold and rainy day here, and we were just bantering because I couldn't find a decent pen. And I have a house full of pens. And to take my notes this morning, I whipped out my Quaco, which is a German brand fountain pen. I like fountain pens. And then it turns out Wajeeh is a big fountain pen guy, and he's a Mont Blanc guy, right? Yeah, I see how it is. But I'll tell
I
you
I
something, Waj.
actually gotten my first Mont Blanc pen when I was in middle school.
Ah, wow. I'll tell you, was it a Meisterstück? Did somebody give you like a
Yeah,
5,000? And their Meisterstücks are about $800.
I
I would
demanded
not.
it from my grandpa. He said no, no, no until he said yes.
See, here, you can have one. I will tell you one of my favorite brands, Quaco, Kweco, which is German. This branch of pen, and this is actually their little tiny travel pen that they have. And somebody says, "Hey, from Nottingham," and another guy from Stuttgart. This is Lamy. These guys from Germany will recognize this.
Hmm?
Lamy, the
It's
very
also a good
standard
brand.
Lamy fountain pens. I actually have a special edition, just two of a kind set made up for the International Legion that we're going to be auctioning off, and we hope that we can get at least a couple of $1,000 for that. We're having a big auction and fundraiser on 24 May in upstate New York to raise money for, the International Legion has been blended into the Ukrainian army, but I'm still buying fuel, renting safe houses, getting supplies for my guys. There is not a day that they don't come back and they go, "Malcolm, we need an interceptor drone. Do you have 800 euros?" And I go, "Yeah, I'll give you my money because these guys served with me and protected me and kept me around." And they don't have time to go around collecting pens. You know what I'm saying? By the way, what kind of point do you like on somebody goes, they like gel pens. I like gel pens too, but I am very peculiar about how I write. Some people like fine points, ultra fines, razors. I like bold point pens. It's got to be like,
I like. I used to like. And when I write fast, I usually write medium to fine. But now because of my hand injury, but anytime I use, I have extra pressure, so I need an extra
yeah.
fine.
Oh, extra
Uh,
fine. Wow, I couldn't write with that. Yeah, if I wanted to do architectural plans, yeah. Yeah, see, there's somebody who's got point 0.7 millimeter. That stuff is just way too.
but anytime you want to sign, I like having bold. Anytime for a signature, bold.
Dawn Petty is on my side. She likes them bold. Kath Spain, she likes them bold. I like it too. I actually, my preferred brand is just, like Pentel or some other, but it has to be. I learned this when I was in the military. I have two types of pens. The kind of pens that I like to have are big, fat, bold ones. And then I like to have these pencil type pens, right? Which is called a pencil because that ain't running out of juice anytime soon. And it doesn't smear when it goes on places. I'll tell you what I don't use. Somebody just asked me, Sharpies. This is Donald Trump. That is a sign of Trump's mental illness, right? That he has to use big, fat, essentially black crayons to write his freaking name. All right. It's just weird.
And I
Um,
wish the name is written nicely, it matches the pen that it comes with.
yeah. Well, yeah, it matches the mental illness that it comes with. But one of the things, and actually in the town that I'm in upstate, that's what somebody was just mentioning. They said a pen that's in a triangle case. This is called Lectrum. That's the pen that somebody was talking about. And I subscribe to a magazine called Monocle. And every year they like send us. Hey, this guy says he likes his U.S. Navy skill crafts. Urban Hermit says that. Urban, how many did you steal? you, your U.S. government pens. I bet you got a closet full of them bad boys. I did. When I got out of the Navy and I started going through my stuff, I'm like, how did I get 327 pens in here? Every time I turn around, there's a pen, right? I gave them all to charity. But the thing is, when you grow older, like us, right? You get salty like us. You just start having preferences. And I like gel pens. As a matter of fact, I have a set right here that, very standard, Sharpie S gels. And these are very good, but only with a bold tip, right? Anything less than that, you're doing architecture. And that's you. You're doing architecture,
No,
Waj.
I was talking about fountain pens. I wasn't talking about gel pens. That's a little different.
Oh, fountain pens. Oh, okay, that's a different thing. I still like a bold nib on my fountain pens. And I grew up in Philadelphia and I went to Catholic school. And okay, here's how old I am, right? We started out using these things. I'm going to show you. Let me see if I got one right
Oh, is
here.
it the one with the lever where you pull it back?
Well, no, but we started out with inkwells.
Oh, yes. I
And
have some of.
we started when I learned cursive at St. Barbara's Elementary School in Philadelphia. We started with inkwells on our desk, two ink wells. You had a black ink well. There was a one well for black, one for blue. They took away the blue. You could only use black. The nuns made us use black. And we had pure nib pens, right? Long stick pens with a nib. And you had to
You
dip
did it.
and do that. So I'm old enough. I'm so old, Sonny, that I remember back when you could actually put a girl's ponytail into the inkwell. So that's a that's the thing. This is a Mont Blanc inkwell because I do have Mont Blanc styrene pens. So anyway, that's what guys do, right? So those of you who ask, oh, we've done with the banter. You might have noticed I'm back in my office. I have solved all of my Wi-Fi problems. I am using blazing fast fiber optic now. I'm back in my writing office here in upstate New York, where my beloved pens are, right? And pens are just one of those things that, based on where you were and how you were raised. I was Catholic school raised in Philadelphia, old school nuns that would beat your ass and were literally authorized to beat you. Uh, with rulers, well, full 3 foot, 1 meter rulers. That's how I learned how far a meter is. Okay, because she would pull the meter ruler off the wall. So I came as a Philadelphian to love pens, and of course, the most famous document written in the United States was written by pen and quill. And although I've never used a quill, I have a calligraphy quill, but that is the same thing as the wood and nib pens that we had. You dipped it, it took a reserve in it, and then you scratched out your little words. I just wish they had taught us better cursive. My cursive is hell. NSA ruined my cursive because trying to write down things extremely fast. So I do a lot of abbreviations and half cursive and half print. So, Wajeeh, that exciting segue for the day. What's your coffee cup?
Hey, I'm still haven't received the box yet. I'm waiting for
Oh,
it.
better check your mail.
And
Check your
it
mail.
seems like more people want to send me mugs. Wait a minute. Maybe you should send me your Mont Blanc pen first, and then we'll talk
Hells
about the
no.
mug.
Oh, no. I showed Wajeeh some very nice Mont Blanc pens. There's something about, but when I lived over in Europe, in Spain and in Germany and Italy, you just write the way they write. And they had more pens. And that's where I found out about Quaco and Lamy, you know? Lamy, there's actually a Lamy store in Manhattan. And this version of the Lamy pen, I have it in ballpoint, but 99% of the time I have it in fountain pen. And let me tell you, I write faster. I write with more accuracy. Oh, we lost Waj there real quick. I'll invite him back. His He probably didn't put his phone on uh on power. Like me, I just run out of power. That being said, we have done enough banter for the morning. My coffee cup, until Wajeeh comes back, is I'm using my Russian army captured coffee cup that I captured in the town of Kupiansk, East Kupiansk, in the VDV headquarters. Outside of East Kupiansk, we were about 5 kilometers behind Russian lines. We infiltrated in with a group called Kraken Brigade, and Kraken is crazy. These guys are like Azov. They go out, and the first thing Kraken does, they would bring a can of spray paint and they would mark everything. Tank captured by Kraken. House, Kraken. Piles of ammunition 40 feet high. This belongs to Kraken. I mean, these guys were salty Ukrainian fighters, and they bought everything. So until Wajeeh comes back, I will run the show. I will drink my double espresso from my Russian army coffee cup. Mm. You know what that tastes like? Me helping kick Russian ass. It still feels delicious every time I sip out of it. So we will go on to the Al Jazeera casualty count. Right now, the war casualties have not increased. We had a casualty count of 70 people increase last weekend. Waj is back. You ran out of power, didn't you?
No, the whole thing shut off for some reason.
Alas, oh, it's terrible. So we were just going over the casualty count. I was saying that last weekend there was an increase in 70 on the Al Jazeera casualty count in Lebanon, civilians and combatants killed in Lebanon. So let's
Yeah.
set that aside for now because we know it's been relatively consistent since the end of the war. What really hasn't been consistent is the price of oil because we are, no matter how you slice it, we are in an oil war, a real oil war, not a half-ass oil war. 100% mia bil mia, as they say in Arabic, haqiqi, right? Harb,
Nearly.
harb al-zayti, harb al-zayt. Whoa! Look at those prices jump, baby. Keep going. All right, I can't see WTI, but I see Brent North Sea crude is not WTI is up is holding steady from yesterday. It finished at 102. Brent North Sea crude is up to 107.45. They say that's down 32 cents, but it jumped high from yesterday. Murban's at 105. Wow, I'm telling you, there's nowhere to go for oil but up, just going up, and it's not coming down, especially as we discuss today's significant activities. But before we do that, a little administration. One, if you see those little hearts floating up there, if you're watching on Substack live, I'd like you to punch those hearts 20 or 30 times like I'm doing. And what that does is that tells the algorithm this show is not only up, it is liked, and it invites people to come watch the show in the algorithm. We are getting a lot of followers from YouTube who are coming over in real time, but we're also getting Substack followers who to watch this in Substack or are over in YouTube and they see the Black Man Spy channel. So please subscribe to both channels, right? Subscribe to Substack, subscribe to YouTube. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of activities that occur on different ones that are not together, like today's live that we're doing with James Verini on
I'm
Ukraine
looking
and the
forward
married
to
Ukraine
watching
people.
that, by the way.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating. Here's the book. You guys should jump onto Amazon and just pre-order it. It's called The Theater, and this is a heartbreaking book. I'm a third of the way through it. I've heard these stories. I saw a video. Horrible, horrible. What happened to those poor people? And the Russians' attitude was, let's just kill them. Let's just kill civilians. We don't care. Right? 800 civilians in a building. Let's just drop two 500-pound
That's
bombs on it,
exactly what
see what
they
happens.
did in Syria as well. The exact
Well,
same techniques.
they were carrying out the Syrian strategy: fire police stations, fire departments, ambulances, hospitals, concentrations of civilians.
Yeah.
right? So that's the Russians for you, rat bastards. So that being said, we will talk about that a little bit later. So oil is up. And it's going to keep going up as we talked yesterday as the supplies dwindle. And so that being said, let's go to the significant activity so that we don't get caught up in an hour of discussing how horrible the situation is with oil. Today's significant activity is Donald Trump is in China. You saw the arrival, Waj. I did not. I had Al Jazeera up here. Tell me what's going on with Trump in China.
His Royal Excellency, His Majesty, and our Supreme Leader has arrived safely in China. He was welcomed, a hero's welcome, with kids waving American and Chinese flags, yelling. You could barely hear, anyone else, shouts and yells and screams. I'm assuming it's all good stuff. And
Maybe they were
he,
shouting, "We're eating your lunch."
but there was a lot of crowd, and if anyone can pull a lot of crowds, it's China.
Mm.
Um, and then he entered his uh, limousine, the Beast,
Uh-huh.
and they went somewhere else. And supposedly he's meeting right now with President Xi to hold small, short talks. And then at 6 p.m. China time, there will be dinner. So I think they're going to give them time either to talk more or to settle. I'm not sure exactly what's happening between. But right now, this is the agenda. Let me go back and see the rest of the
I
agenda.
can almost hear him saying right now when they'll look at the menu and it'll be like Australian Wagyu steak or something, and Trump will go, "I don't eat Chinese food," you know? And they probably flew in Big Macs from Japan, right? The US Air Base. See, somebody already got it, right? Says they'll say, "It's okay, Mr. President. This is from the US Naval Base at Sasebo, Japan. This is the same Big Macs the Marines eat." And they'll be like, "Okay, that's good. Big Macs every meal. That way I know that there's nothing going on, So yikes. So that is happening. Okay, enough about Trump. We'll let him make a fool out of himself in China. And we'll talk a little bit about the analytics of that too. But more importantly, we have been saying for the last 24 to 72 hours that Israel is trying to talk the United States into a war. And it is becoming clearer and clearer every day. Trump is stuck in Professor Robert Pape, the Air War College, University of Chicago expert who has been helping the U.S. military plan the Iranian war for almost 30 years, right? And he says that Trump is stuck in the escalation trap. He
Mhm.
cannot get out of it because the only way to get out of it is if someone gives him a win. And the only person that can give him a win is Mujtaba al-Khamenei. But Khamenei. Um, but that can be prodded along by Xi Jinping, president, the leader of China. So the key question today is, will Trump go begging China for assistance? She, you owe me. Get Iran to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Or will he come up and beg in a way that strengthens China by him saying, why don't we do joint U.S. Navy Chinese patrols to open the Strait of Hormuz? Who needs some love? Somebody says, oh, somebody says, and Matthew says, you scared the bejesus out of me yesterday when you said that our oil reserves would be gone by September. And then baby diapers and dog food. No, baby diapers and dog food is for poor people. Okay? They need it now. You need to do that. She said, I had to go today drinking and immediately started looking for an EC, but no food because no electric trucks. And it was the apocalypse until I took a nap. I love some of the comments we get on here. baby food, and it was dog food and baby diapers that you should help your neighbors out with because now people are struggling immensely.
Question about how you how like you are like uh whole like collecting oil or gasoline, because I'm getting a lot of people to ask me, and I'm like, well, the way we used to do it in Saudi Arabia is there's special underground tankers
Mm.
that don't have any air that comes into it, that has special access from the outside and special access, but I don't know how you do it in the US.
No, I wasn't recommending that. I'm not talking about hoarding gasoline. I'm just saying baby food and dog diapers. No, dog food and baby diapers. I'm reading the comments that are coming up there. They're pretty fun. Um, I just said was go have 5 gallons of gas or 10 gallons of gas in my garage for my tractors, right? The guy who cuts my grass is really complaining. He's talking about raising his rates 30% to cover the gasoline on a zero turn motor. Things are going to get bad. So if I want, and now I'm doing the Forrest Gump thing when I have 5 extra minutes of the day. I go out and I cut my grass, because he doesn't cut everything, and I've got another couple of acres over this way. And somebody says, "Let it grow." Levy, I don't let it grow because where I'm at, if your grass isn't cut, people think your house is abandoned. And I'm often not in this house. And a few years ago, we had a break in because I was over in the Middle East and somebody thought the house was abandoned because the lights were off. So now we have lights on, grass is constantly cut, and they don't know when I'm here, when I'm not here. So it's as simple as that. But now let's go back. I am sorry that I confused people with that about the baby food and dog diapers. But please give to your neighbors dog food to the SPCA and baby diapers. Speaking of baby diapers, let's talk about what Donald Trump apparently is listening to when he talks to Benjamin Netanyahu. The significant activity of the day is not Donald Trump going to China. The significant activity of the day is the very fact that the U.S. Pentagon has been ordered to bring up new plans to attack Iran. And they are referring to it as, in in their parlance, Operation Sledgehammer. So I thought to myself, wait a minute, Operation Sledgehammer, this sounds very familiar to me as a student of World War II. I was raised on World War II, so I ran and got my West Point Atlas of World War II out, and it turns out there was an Operation Sledgehammer in U.S. history. It was a planned invasion of France in 1942, right? 2 years before D-Day ever happened. And it was supposed to be a rapid operation to seize the Cotentin Peninsula, where I have been. And they were going to seize Cherbourg, Brest, and maybe Saint-Nazaire in order to... Good one, Alta. Somebody just said maybe they should call it Operation Epstein Mallet. But they were going to seize the Cotentin Peninsula and try to hold it and over a year reinforce it, right? The British, the Americans wanted to do this to help the Russians. The British were like, y'all crazy, because we were already in Dunkirk. We were already landed Canadians at Dieppe to a disaster. We landed British forces in Norway to a disaster. The Germans have 2 million men in arms. Not a good idea. But surprise, the very idea that we want to do a rapid snap invasion of Iran using 3,000 combat troops is the same stupid idea, plan, name from 1942. Guys, never name your missions after plans that no one in their right mind wanted to do. No one. The British convinced us using, what is that, intelligence and maps to actually carry out an operation called Operation Torch, which is where instead of jumping right into France, We landed in Morocco and fought our way across North Africa from the west, and the British fought their way across North Africa from the east, and we destroyed the Africa Corps, which led us to be able to land and invade on Sicily. And then from Sicily, we did the operation in Anzio to take back Italy and force the Italians to surrender. Oh, it's called strategy. Not seeing any of that in this White House. These people are stupid. Stupid. That's like, I mean, the Rat Patrol. The Rat Patrol, Michael Mason, had nothing to do with what was going on there. That was supposed to be the SAS. Never choose an operation name from one that was a failure, and one that was so stupid no one would execute it. Right? You may as well call it Operation Epstein Mallet at that point. I just do not understand these people in this White House. They're just morons, really morons. Oh,
When you don't study history, when you're not an expert, when you do not understand the situation, what I realize is you keep repeating history, not good ones, bad ones, and not on a daily basis or a weekly basis, on an hourly basis.
mm-hmm.
And when you and that just tells you basically everything that you need to know.
Yeah, sorry.
We
It's code name.
no
People are posting operations names left and right down here, and they're hilarious. So go ahead.
And what we are seeing at the moment is people who like to claim that they are masters at negotiation. Maybe they're masters at maneuvering U.S. laws and regulations. They're masters at filing bankruptcy laws and avoiding, going bankrupt and keeping the rest of their money and not paying anyone else. They're masters at doing all of that shit, but they have absolutely no idea how to deal with the Middle East. They have absolutely no idea how to deal with China. They have absolutely no idea how to go to the camel market.
Yeah. Someone just wrote absolute Operation Oil R Us.
Oh,
And I'm not even going to talk about the guy who just wrote Operation Biggest Dickus. So, Operation what? There's some really good ones down here. Operation Stormy Weather. What did they say? Stormy Daniels is the only person who's actually carried out any successful operations in the Trump White House. That Operation Trump's Tiny Hammer. Okay, guys, stop with that. So that is the most significant activity, is that the United States is now in a position where they are being goaded by Israel to carrying out an invasion of Iran. So we need to be very careful about that. Oh, and I did it again. I I'm going to now put up in the Substack your um, um your chat so that you can ask questions. I got caught up in something on here, something very interesting you might find fascinating. Anthropic, the IT company, the AI company, they stole the written works of over 500,000 authors and put it into their computer learning thing, and just stole it, all the rights. I found out 5 of my books were stolen were stolen by Anthropic, and I now have to get them to settle with me to pay me royalties on the 5 books that they stole. And I mean, they just literally they said they got it from, like, somebody in the black market, some 25-year-old kid just went into the dark web and just ripped off all these PDF copies of these books. So and dropped my books in there, including 2 editions of the Terrorist Recognition Handbook, The Terrorists of Iraq, An End to Al Qaeda, and Plot to Destroy Democracy, and all of that. So that being said, I'm going to now set up your chat. I will take your questions. Look at that. How have we gone halfway through the show talking about Penn's and Donald Trump's operations? It's beyond me. So I will do that. Let's create. Oh, well, home. So, Wajeeh, what do you have to say about us going to war with Iran? Or I'm not going to war, but going to Israel goading us into war.
Listen, the fact of the matter is, uh, Israel and Netanyahu wasn't able to convince any previous president to attack Iran for 47 years.
Mhm.
That has been one of the biggest demands from Saudi Arabia, from Israel. Not
Mhm.
only that, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been begging the United States to attack Iran
Mhm.
for a very, very, very long time. And all of the previous presidents were educated enough, were smart enough, were informed enough, were consulted enough
Mhm.
from their uh, from their intelligence apparatus to understand that attacking Iran is a critical mistake that the United States cannot deal with. Like,
Mhm.
just giving you ideas, like we fought way much smaller countries and we spent years there.
Yeah.
For example, Vietnam. We sent most of our soldiers there. We sent our citizens there, right?
Mhm.
And we spent
Yep.
years and years and years there. We're talking about a country that has been prepared, knowing that there is a potential the United States could attack at any time. We have a country that doesn't have one or two or three or four uh, bunkers and mountains that are 500 meters deep, reinforced with 50,000 psi concrete that can withstand some of the biggest and strongest U.S. bombs. It's meant to withstand a nuclear bomb, nevertheless. In
Mhm.
addition to that, so there's so many technical mistakes that happen that any president would be like, shit, it's such a big country. It makes Afghanistan look like nothing in terms of mountains.
Mhm.
And it's bigger than Afghanistan, and they have a 90 million population. What the hell would we be doing there?
Right.
3,000 US soldiers would be doing nothing.
Sorry, man. There's some funny ass operations names coming across the scroll here. I can't read them though. Operation Smelly Diapers. That's a good one. So, to be very serious about this, this is a very serious situation we're finding ourselves in. The only thing stopping us right now is whatever's going to happen in China. And they're saying in the White House, all Trump has to do is say, Operation Sledgehammer is a go. And they will just blast Iran once again. We will be back to day zero. And Trump believes that that resets his 60-day clock, right?
No,
I mean, just completely ignoring the fact that we're on day 77 of a war. You know, it's just madness that he thinks that this is going to
what is even more disappointing than the White House is the US Congress that has not been exercising its powers.
power to
When
continue.
you are where you're meant to be exercising checks and balances, when you have a constitutional obligation to represent the people and say, wait a minute, we have spent, according to the Pentagon, $29 billion, and we might take months to years to figure out how to finish this war, according to our Secretary of War, His Royal Excellency and Majesty Pete Hegseth. You know, we
Power to
can't we can't we can't mess around with this shit. Like this is some important stuff. Even the royal court in the kingdom would be having some secondary advice. Go to McKinsey. If you don't want your government opinion, go to McKinsey, the private firm. Have them tell you if this war is a good idea or not.
they don't believe in advice. They don't. I've said this before. I wrote about this in my book Plot to Betray America. They believe they are masters of the universe. And when they won this second election, They are no longer masters of the universe. They are gods, right? And you may as well, none of us is Perseus. No one is going to be able to stop these people. They think that they are, a combination of Athena and Hector, not Hector, Athena, Apollo, and Zeus, and that there's nothing that can stop them. And going, they are running foreign policy that way. Well, let me segue to something that is not impacted by Donald Trump that we are all going to suffer over. Give me 1 second. And that is natural gas. I'm going to read you this report from 3 hours ago, actually. Qatar's energy minister says it doesn't have plans to export any more liquid natural gas other than the 2 tankers that went out on the Iranian multi-pass pathway. By the way, I got a little treat for you. I don't know if you could hear that very well. It's our recorder button. I gotta
I
bump
couldn't
that
hear
up.
it.
That's from the Fifth Element. That's Lilu saying multipass. So so anytime that we discuss this, so the Qataris sent out 2 ships. Qatar's energy minister Saad Al Kabi says it could take a minimum of 2 to 3 months for full scale LNG exports and energy shipments to normalize on the day the Strait of Hormuz reopens, right? 2 to 3 months. But guess what? Every day that there was missing LNG and oil, we are going to suffer that deficit we talked about yesterday. And LNG is used everywhere. Most Qatari LNG goes to Asia, goes to Japan, goes to Korea, goes to China, right? And here's what they said. This is a small strait, the Strait of Hormuz. So the traffic of everyone going in and out is going to be crippled for a while. 2 Qatari LNG cargoes have left the straits, but he said no more are planned. Surprise. And they have 10 full LNG tankers sitting off of Qatar that are full stuck, while 118 vessels that are waiting to load LNG are outside the Strait of Hormuz. Thank you, U.S. blockade, right? Qatar rejects tolls for the Strait of Hormuz, except for those 2 ships that went out already. And no tolls, except those ships. 2 badly damaged LNG tankers could be fixed in 3 years. That's another thing. Kabi expects structurally higher oil and gas prices to remain for the next 2 to 3 years. So get used to $6 gasoline when it gets there, right? Yikes. So, um, that is what we're having to deal with in the oil and gas market right now. You know, no matter what, let's be honest. If Donald Trump and China don't work for an off ramp and China doesn't get them that off ramp, things are going to get very bad very fast. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It is already getting very bad very fast. Yesterday, I published an article just literally showing how bad things are. We told you that our reserve at a historical low, lower than the 1970s Saudi oil embargo. We have expressed to you that the oil that is being produced in the United States is meant to fulfill these oil reserves,
Right.
but instead we're selling it
Reservoir.
to foreign countries. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And Trump's
Uh,
bragging about it. Bragging about it. It's like, dude, every barrel that doesn't come into the United States is a shortfall, which means gas goes up 25 to 50 cents a gallon. And he's like, we're selling gas. No, we're selling off our oil. You dumbass. His friends are having a grand old time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
China has billions of barrels of oil in reserve.
In reserve.
Meanwhile,
Emphasis on
meanwhile,
reserve. right?
in reserve, which can keep them going for at least 4 months without any economic restrictions, without them any. So, like, meanwhile, we barely have 4 months to go.
Mm. Well, it can get worse, and here's how worse it can get. This is a report yesterday from CNN. CNN reports Israel is worried Trump will make a bad deal with Iran using China. Most revealing line comes from this is on Mario Nawafal's thread. We will be happy if there is no deal. We will be happy if the siege of the Strait of Hormuz continues. We will be happy if Iran gets a few more strikes. That's the source for CNN's report on this attitude of Israel towards this war.
The
So,
status quo is horrible. What are they talking about? They want to keep the status quo going. Meanwhile, the rest of the globe is suffocating. This is just horrible. The
every
United
day.
States cannot afford this. Like, we're literally, is Israel going to pay us back for the money we're borrowing to go to this war?
Mm-mm.
Then why are they asking us to go to a war that they can't afford?
Well, they want us to do all the heavy lifting. You know what they remind me of? Did you ever see the movie, what is it? Mad Max in Thunderdome, Beyond Thunderdome? And they had the character, the little guy who was really smart, who created methane gas and powered, what is the Barter Town, right? The town that Tina Turner ran. For those of you, if you haven't seen it, it's a great film. It's about energy, energy supply, and how they carved a society out of this barter town that you could come in and do things because it had energy, and energy was the pigs. The pigs there created methane, and the little guy who ran it, who was called Master Blaster, Master was the little midget who understood how somebody already wrote it, right? Master Blaster, who knew how to harness methane gas, turn it into power, and to light Bartertown, which is why Bartertown was a huge place for people to come and trade things in the Australian post apocalypse. Tina Turner was the mayor of Bartertown. She looked good too. So, anyway, but Master Blaster was the midget was Master, and he was carried by a huge hulking guy who was like 6'7", known as Blaster. And Master would give the directions, and Blaster would do the killing. This is what I'm feeling like the Israeli-American relationship is Master Blaster. Right? This he sits on our back in a little harness, like I said yesterday, a little devil prodding us, telling us they would rather that we have no deal, Strait of Hormuz stays closed, that the global economy collapses. And I don't know whether they've got this fantasy in their head that everyone's going to come to them, all the Arab states, and go, we will build a pipeline to Ashkelon, Israel. Been there, done that. No one's building a pipeline to Ashkelon. It's 5 kilometers north of Gaza. Oh, but they don't care. They're going to ethnically cleanse Gaza. This is bizarre, bizarre thinking on behalf of Trump and the Israelis. And it reminds me of the way that the Bush administration thought about Iraq. This is going to be the new Germany. We're going to be there for the next 50 years, and they're going to love us, and they're going to be wanting to, they're going to give up Shia Islam, and they're going to. Do you remember when we tried to get the Iraqis?
They
Hold on.
want
Do
to
you
have.
remember when we tried to get the Iraqis to change their flag into white and light blue? Holy cow. I was in the Republican Palace headquarters when that was proposed, and I said, whoever proposed this is a dead man. Because they wanted Iraq to be reflective of like Israel or something. It was bizarre. So whoever is coming up with these crazy ass plans might want to stop coming up with crazy ass plans. Just an idea there. Please, Wajeeh, I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, no, no. You were absolutely correct. I forgot what I was about to say, but the once you mentioned the flag, everything went away.
Oh
The
God.
the
Oh God. Let's go
again,
back
like
to the horrible things that are in the news. I like this comment made by a guy named Septimus Severus yesterday that says, "You know those movies where the supervillains created when you kill their entire family and turn them into disfigured cripples?" He says, "Yeah, that's what's happening here in Iran." Right? Give that a moment's thought. We wipe out Mujtaba Khomeini's family, we cripple him, we burn him, we maybe amputate one of his legs. Don't tell me this guy. Well, first off, he already has the supervillain infrastructure in place. His dad built it, right? So this is like a secondary character who is going to give us three more sequels in this really bad reverse Marvel movie where the Avengers are a bunch of fat guys that sit around eating buckets of chicken. Fat Thor. No, Thor actually has some honor. So that's what we're having to deal with. That being said, Mujtaba Khomeini handed his negotiating team five conditions that must be met before, you're going to love this, before they start talking nuclear regulation with the United States. He wants five things: an end to the war on all fronts, including Gaza and Lebanon. The thing is, that's viable. That's viable, right? The Israelis could just put a stop to it. I don't know about Gaza, but they lie every time about Gaza. They want to lift to all sanctions on Iran. They want all their frozen assets and money back. And finally, they want to recognize Iran's sovereign right over the Strait of Hormuz, and they want reparations. Now that is extremist in the extreme. But there are a couple of things there they can give up. They could get that ceasefire. They could lift the sanctions. They could release frozen assets. Iran could flex on the Strait of Hormuz and go back to February 27th. And the Gulf states could pay the reparations.
the Gulf states is not going to want to pay reparation
Why not?
because they weren't consulted on how this war started. They don't even want their soldiers to be involved in this war unless it's like it's under the table. Like except for the UAE, we all know that Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, they all have softened their rhetoric toward Iran, and they're like, "We have nothing to do with this. We told America not to use our airspace. In fact, we shut down Project Freedom. We so good to you guys. We
Yeah.
both Muslim. It's okay, khalas."
Somebody wrote in the comments, well, just tell Iran to get rid of their nuclear materials and we'll unfreeze their assets. That's what Barack Obama did. And how much hammering he hasn't been in office in 10, 12 years, and they're still hammering him for giving them back their own money from the Shah of Iran era, right? Anything that we do is going to look bad, but Trump, $20 billion, halas, no problem. Anyway, it's going to be there. I don't think negotiations are going to start anytime soon. And the big problem is that we have we have Benjamin Netanyahu every day using his political leverage against the United States to force us back into war. I've said this from the very beginning. Israel wants Iran to be a failed state so that if
Yeah.
they are fighting a civil war where tens of thousands of people are dying internally, right? They'll give them all the captured weapons they took from Hamas, all the weapons they got from the
Which is
Syrians
the
and
region's
Hezbollah.
nightmare. It is the region's nightmare that Iran would become a failed state. You would think we would have learned from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and every country we've turned into a failed state, including Syria. Even though I was part of the Arab Spring back in 2011, my mom is Syrian. Bashar al-Assad, father, executed seven of my mother's uncles.
Mm.
So we have a personal stake in the equation. The reality of the equation is every time we create a vacuum of power, we create a perfect opportunity for terrorist organizations to form. And
Just
every
imagine.
time you,
You know what else could come out of this? All right, what could come out of this is a how can I put it? A Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is now no other armed force in the country. Army under the IRGC, no Artesh. You are all, every soldier now under the IRGC. Navy, IRGC. No military force except the IRGC. And the Ayatollah Khomeini kept the army, the Artesh, the Air Force as a sort of a conventional face mask over the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. So the IRGC, imagine them becoming essentially like the Israelis, right? The IDF, to where there is no military in Iran for you to try to pay off, right? To come and be but the IRGC. You are IRGC or you're the enemy, right? So this is not an optimal situation. You're not going to create terrorist groups. If you create terrorist groups, you're going to create Shia Muslims who want to avenge whatever it is that you're doing, right?
yep.
Super Hezbollah, super Houthi, right? Halas. This isn't funny.
Not only,
I
not
keep saying
only
that.
they will they would have military access to ballistic weapons. They would have access to drones. They would have access to modern warfare. They would have access to Russian intelligence. They would have access to Chinese products. This is not going to be your everyday terrorist spies or terrorist organizations that we have been fighting before. This would be highly trained, highly intelligent, highly sophisticated, a terrorist organization. This is what we call the worst of the worst, the bad. Like this is this. You're got if this continues to happen and we make Iran a failed state, you will quote me on this one day.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you. And I don't want to be right, but this is what I see.
Mm-hmm. This is crazy. You'll find this one interesting. There is an enormous convoy of trucks that has been sent by the British supermarket chain Spinneys. If you live in Dubai, the two big places that you go to buy food are Carrefour, the French chain, and Spinneys, the British chain. Spinneys generally operates smaller community supermarkets. Carrefour has the mega supermarkets like at Dubai Mall, not Dubai Mall, but Mall of the Emirates, Ibn Battuta Mall, down in each neighborhood, there's giant Carrefours. And, but Spinneys sent trucks with British food on a 16-day journey from Kent, their distribution warehouse in Kent, across France, across Western Europe, all the way down to Egypt. They took ferries to Egypt, over to Saudi Arabia and down to Dubai because they can't get anything in by container. Right? And you got to keep those spinny supermarkets full because it's chock full of British people there. Okay. And they want their Tam Tams and they want their spinny branded things. Oh, where's that giant spinnies? I was wrong. Mall of the Emirates does have a giant effing spinnies down in the basement. Really good food, actually. They have a good deli down there. So I'm just saying, this is what's happening now. Container ships can't get through there. I would have put them on a container ship to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and then trucked them over. But Spinneys, like you're going to send a convoy of, 150 trucks across Europe, you know, that's what we're reduced to. Okay. That pretty much is all of the things that we need to learn about on what? Wholesale food prices in the United States have jumped 6%, just reported, because of energy prices and pressure on companies. They are passing all of their trucking expenses onto the United States. Absolutely crazy what we got going on here. Oh, that's interesting. And one last thing, I didn't see this. The United Arab Emirates, as if they were in Ukraine, are building anti-drone fences around oil tanks. They may as well
Makes
just use
sense.
fishing nets to catch them. If you see over here, they are building fence structures to explode drones at a distance so that they don't blow up their oil tanks.
Because
That's
you don't
what
need
we have
much of
come
an
to.
explosion for any of those tankers to go off. Let me tell you, like
You know what?
the
They should
small
put it in.
guns.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
for it.
I'm saying they should just put them in buildings,
Yeah.
put them in
Um,
structures.
or under the ground. For in the future, they must all put it under the ground. Because and or in mountains if they have access to mountains. Like you said, the Air Force, Iranian Air Force is gonna be no more, and Iran will put everything inside the mountains. Saudi Arabia is already thinking about expanding its mountain storage units for
That's
oil facilities.
You know what? Great idea. Get rid of stupid ass projects like the line. Do you know about the line in Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia?
yeah.
I don't, what was it supposed to be, like 100-kilometer long city or some stupid thing like that?
They basically ended the whole project
Or
essentially.
Neom, and then go and say, we're going to put $50 billion where are all the mountains up in the north, right? And
East,
I don't,
the West Coast. West
where are
Coast
the
is
Hajar
the
Mountains? Where are the Hajar Mountains? Are
yeah,
they in the
West
south?
Coast.
Okay.
West Coast.
Yeah. Start building underground oil, start building underground pipelines, right? 10 times whatever it is that you would need in a war. And then when oil resumes, you've got the ability to really flow in any direction that you want. Neom, somebody was talking about also, a multi-billion-dollar city. Just absolutely fantasy when they need to
Well,
start thinking
the
about
line
their
was
infrastructure.
the line is as part of Neom is just a project of Neom. Neom is the whole part of Vision 2030. It's a whole city, and
Yeah.
those small projects is part of those big
They're going
cities.
to throw that name out, Vision 2030. They got to start all over again with this war. Because it was supposed to be, I mean, they bought the Live Golf tournament. They were trying to buy international tennis. Did you hear the first project of Trump Towers has been canceled?
Yep,
What was that supposed to be? Trump Towers. They just got this one
Jeddah,
in,
Riyadh,
was it in Riyadh? No, no, no. There's another one.
Jeddah.
No, no, it wasn't in the Middle East. But one of these Trump towers was just canceled. Australia. And here's the kicker. They just announced it 90 days ago. They announced it like a few weeks before the war started. And here's what they said about it. The brand is toxic. So Azerbaijan and Tbilisi is still going forward. They just launched that one. But Australia's down. You know they're going to quietly kill the one in Saudi Arabia, saying our investments can't sustain it. UAE, that was supposed to be the Trump International Golf Course, they need that water now. Okay, they're not going to be using desal water to go out and water that place. It's just crazy. Anyway, let me answer a couple of questions. I have to do the Stephanie Miller radio show after this, and then you can all join me at 11 o'clock. No, at 12 o'clock for the question and answers, interviewing James Verini. Um, bu- 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 I need to work on my, Ru Rizuki says, I need to work on my next Substack on ancient Egypt. But my first late father was from North Philly. Oh, that's interesting. I'm from West Philly. He was the reason I started following you and your work. And second, how no major publisher is going to want a New York Times bestseller experience is about fighting in Ukraine. They don't want it. All right. So work on your Substack on ancient Egypt. But Ru, you should come with me to Egypt this year, man. We have a grand old time on that trip. Watch, you got to come with me to Egypt. I mean,
Once I get my
no,
Canadian citizenship.
we have a grand old time on that trip, going all over Cairo and the funny thing is, you really have dealing with the Egyptians. You better speak Arabic, right? They will, they're always looking for the
Not
little
only
slaves,
Arabic,
right?
Arabic with an Egyptian accent, ya Hagi.
you hungry? So yeah, because you got the Egyptians churn all their G's into J, their Q's into G's there. Okay. Colonel Douglas McGregor says from Peanut XS, Chinese and Russian ships are allowed to pass the Strait of Hormuz and are transporting as normal. Is it true? No, Chinese ships are transporting as normal. Russian ships, the only thing that went through was that billionaire's yacht, and he took the southern American designated Strait of Hormuz route. No one is really transporting there. Trump Tower on Gold Coast was canceled. That's the one. Wow. Shane Granger. Hey, Shane, full disclosure, bro. I lived in Surfer's Paradise for a while. I was seeing someone there, and I was living on Gold Coast in Surfers. And was that where they were building it? If it was, come back up on the chat and let me know. That's a great place. Let me tell you, I'd love to live in Australia, but at the time I was 42 years old, and they made it clear that if you weren't under 40 and didn't have a job that brought in $1 million, you can just get your black ass out of Australia because they want no elder. They say if you're rich and you're over 40, come to Australia, spend your money, and leave. They do not allow immigrants who are above age, I think it's age 40. So they were not letting me move to Surfer's Paradise or Byron Bay or any other place. That's not Gold Coast. Gold Coast is Brisbane to surfers. So we'll see. But man, I loved Australia. Okay, Christopher B. Drake says rebranding a military operation with a simple name change and calling it a new military excursion is like trying to change the path of a hurricane with a Sharpie doodle on a map. But we have had a president use a Sharpie doodle on a map. So, yeah, it's like that, but this is the mindless stupidity that we have out of this White House. Um, where's all this hatred coming from? Sorry if I seem ignorant. Oh, well, it's just open American racism. The White House is full of white supremacists and racists. And if you don't have money, they hate you. And when you do have, and even if you're a brown person of color or Asian or brown, they still hate you, but they want your money.
Yep.
Oh, Trump Tower, Gold Coast. Oh, is there more about that? What Cajun Flay Rectmune says, why would Ukraine help Trump's army with drones after all the USA has done and not done to Ukraine and world recently? Because now that will open up the floodgates to helping them. But you know how Trump is? It's transactional. You have to pay him. Right? He won't sell anything to Ukraine. And if I were the Ukrainians, I'd be charging 10 times what I would have sold it for before they screwed Ukraine on the missiles. Simple as that. Okay, that's generally it. There was one comment about a U.S. Navy ship with a golden faucet and toilet seat. But oh, here's one. Tree Lady, this is the last question. Why did Lindsey Graham call the war a failure and berate Hegseth if he's supporting Israel? Can you explain? No. No one can explain what Lindsey Graham is doing. Okay? Lindsey Graham fuck your family. Lindsey Graham, Lady Jane Graham, Elizabeth Lindsey Graham, is trying to keep his job in South Carolina, even though, you know, he is a log cabin Republican that won't admit it. And Miss Lindsay, somebody.
You know he's gay as fuck.
The thing is, Trump knows this. Right? And when Lindsey Graham, who was adamantly against Trump, had that first golf outing with Trump where they were sitting and speaking to each other in his ears, Trump was like, I got all your boyfriends on speed dial. And I could break you right now. No, Michael Cohen told me, and Lev Parnas have both told me, Trump will
Yes.
blackmail you. He brings people who hated him very close to him and keeps the blackmail going. And that way, and you look at Marco Rubio, who said Trump would destroy us. Lindsey Graham, who said he would end the Republican Party. They're all kissing his ass now, right? They are just the worst. They're just the worst. Okay, that's it for today. Listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the recording. It is now, we've worked out the bugs. It is automatically going up on YouTube. So I don't need to do that collaboration now, Waj, because mine is going up. So when I do yours, it goes up again. So,
Okay, I
um,
won't send you any more
but
links.
if you're watching this on YouTube, please follow and subscribe on YouTube. It's free. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. Same on Substack. If you're on Substack and you have friends who are not friends of this program, please recommend this program. We are trying to get to the number one world politics. We have to beat a bunch of really crazy right wing and nutty people who are conspiracy theorists, but we give you what you need. And we give you a bunch of laughs. And today we even taught you a little bit of something about ink pens. So, and I will work on my hat game if I can get more than an hour off. So, Jacob Kaarsbo should be back tomorrow. He's got a whole bunch of things going on. He's doing conferences all over the place. And Wajeeh, you'll be back tomorrow? No doctor's
I will.
appointment? Allah's father. Okay. Thank you for coming. Recommend this show to your friends. Share the show when you see it. If you see the shorts, share those out with your buddies. This is a beautiful, wonderful community, and I really appreciate all of you here. We are back in the blue room, the writing office. So we can, hopefully, the sun will come out. And I want all of you to try to do something positive for your neighbors today, right? Do something.
Question to you.
What's that?
And how many hours is your podcast?
One.
Okay, then for everyone that thinks that because I scheduled my podcast in 1 hour, so I will do it
No, no,
right
no.
now. So for everyone to come to you.
My interview comes on right at the end of your podcast, 12 o'clock. My Substack Live comes on at 12. Yours is at
Okay,
11.
perfect.
We're all good. You can watch us for the next, if you watch Stephanie Miller on Free Speech Radio or WCPT 820 on TuneIn, you can hear me for the next 3 hours. You don't want to
Okay.
do that. All right, guys.
I just want to
Thank
make sure that I don't steal your
No, no, you're not
viewers
stealing my
from.
thunder. Thank you guys. Please, if you are interested in becoming a paid subscriber, you do get to comment, chat, and interact with me and Wajeeh on a personal basis. Look out for Wajeeh. Wajeeh, look out for your package. It's coming.
Will do. I
And
can't wait.
we'll see that. Okay. Thanks for coming, guys. We will see you tomorrow. Fi amanillah.
Fi amanillah. Bye bye.